Hey everyone, welcome back to rCast, where we dive into the spiciest Reddit threads and try to make sense of this crazy world. Today's episode is a wild one. We're talking about class warfare, billionaires, and why everyone's losing their minds on the internet. You know what's funny? Every time I open Reddit these days, it's like stepping into a revolutionary meeting from the 1800s. Except instead of angry peasants with pitchforks, we've got angry programmers with mechanical keyboards. So there's this massive thread about class warfare, right? And it's absolutely hilarious how everyone's acting like they're ready to storm the Bastille while posting from their $1,000 iPhones. The irony is just chef's kiss. Let's break down what's got everyone's pants in a twist. First up, we've got the wealth gap. Now, I'm not saying it isn't real. It's like comparing my bank account to Jeff Bezos. Actually, that's not even a fair comparison. It's like comparing a grain of sand to the entire Sahara Desert. And the desert keeps getting bigger, while my grain of sand is getting charged monthly maintenance fees. Speaking of corporate power, have you noticed how companies these days are like that passive-aggressive roommate you had in college? They're all, "We're a family here," while monitoring your bathroom breaks and calling it productivity optimization. Real family vibes there, Karen from HR. And don't even get me started on technology and AI. We're all worried about robots taking our jobs, but let's be honest, half of us are already doing the work of 3 people because someone in management read an article about synergy. The robots would probably take one look at our job descriptions and go, "Nah, I'm good." The cost of living is getting so ridiculous, I saw a rental listing the other day for what was basically a fancy closet. The real estate agent called it a cozy micro-living space with vintage ventilation. Translation: it's a box with a hole in the wall, and they want $2,000 a month for it. But my favorite part of this whole discussion is the mental health crisis among younger generations. We're all out here having existential crises because we can't afford therapy, while watching billionaires race each other to space in penis-shaped rockets. It's like living in a really bad Black Mirror episode, except we can't change the channel. You know what's really wild? People in the comments are talking about revolution like it's a weekend hobby. Yeah, I'll overthrow capitalism right after I finish binge-watching this new Netflix series. Because nothing says down with the system like paying 15 different streaming subscriptions. But here's the real kicker. Why aren't we seeing any actual revolution? Well, turns out it's pretty hard to start an uprising when you're busy deciding which flavor of La Croix to drink while scrolling through TikTok. We've got 99 problems, but comfortable distraction ain't one. You know what the ancient Romans called it? Bread and circuses. Today we call it Uber Eats and Netflix. Same thing, just with better special effects and faster delivery. We're all too busy arguing about whether pineapple belongs on pizza to organize any meaningful resistance. Social media is the real MVP of keeping us docile. We think we're being revolutionary by retweeting spicy memes about eating the rich, but let's be real. The most radical thing most of us did today was customize our Instagram story font. We're basically protesting capitalism through apps owned by billionaires. That's like trying to escape a maze while asking the maze designer for directions. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us still have our basic needs met. Sure, we're not living the dream, but we've got running water, electricity, and enough food to make those "what I eat in a day" videos. It's hard to convince people to risk it all when they've still got a working Netflix password and half a tank of gas. The fear of losing what little we have is real, though. It's like we're all playing the world's most depressing game of Jenga. We know the tower's unstable, but nobody wants to be the one who makes it fall. We're watching our savings accounts shrink faster than my motivation on a Monday morning. But hey, at least we can still afford the dollar menu. But the biggest problem? We can't agree on what we're even fighting for. Some people want universal health care, others want their student loans forgiven. And then there's that one guy who just wants to make sure his local Taco Bell stays open past midnight. We're like a choir where everyone's singing a different song in different keys while the conductor's on a coffee break. You want to know how far we are from a real revolution? I saw someone post about eating the rich right after sharing their Amazon Prime Day purchases. We're not just drinking the Kool-Aid anymore, we're having it delivered with same-day shipping and leaving 5-star reviews. Speaking of revolutions, let's talk about history for a hot minute. Everyone keeps bringing up the French Revolution like it's some kind of revolutionary cookbook. Just add some angry peasants, a dash of wealth inequality, and boom, instant uprising. But they're forgetting one tiny detail. Those people were literally starving to death, not arguing about which filter makes their avocado toast look more aesthetic. You know what's hilarious about all these Reddit historians? They'll quote the French Revolution all day long, but conveniently forget that most of those revolutionaries ended up losing their heads too. It's like citing relationship advice from Henry VIII. Maybe not the best example, folks. Remember Occupy Wall Street? That movement had more hashtags than actual occupying. It was like a music festival where instead of bands, we got economic manifestos. And just like your friend's indie band, it had great potential, but ultimately ended up playing in their parents' garage. The 1% didn't even break a sweat. They just waited for winter and watched Netflix from their penthouses. Here's a fun fact about historical revolutions. They usually happened when people had nothing left to lose. I'm talking eating leather shoes for dinner, levels of desperate. Meanwhile, we're out here complaining about Wi-Fi speeds and DoorDash delivery times. Our version of let them eat cake is getting upset when Starbucks runs out of oat milk. The labor movements of the past? Those folks were fighting for basic safety regulations like, maybe don't make 8-year-olds work in coal mines, and it would be nice if we didn't die in factory fires. Today we're fighting for the right to work from home in our pajamas. Don't get me wrong, both are valid, but one feels slightly more urgent than the other. And let's talk about living standards. Back in the day, having a wooden floor instead of dirt was considered luxury living. Now we're watching house renovation shows where people complain about the color of their granite countertops. This kitchen is literally uninhabitable. The backsplash doesn't match my rose gold iPhone. You want to know the real difference between historical revolutionaries and us? They were fighting the system while we're just leaving 1-star reviews on it. Dear King Louis XVI, your feudal system only gets 1 star. The mandatory peasant labor was fine, but the plague was a real deal-breaker. Would not recommend. Now, let's talk about the real genius move of the powers that be, the culture war. It's like the world's most elaborate game of look over there while they're picking our pockets. And we fall for it every single time. You know what's wild? We're all arguing about pronouns and which bathroom people should use, while corporations are literally stealing our lunch money and telling us to be grateful for the experience. It's like getting robbed and being more concerned about whether the thief used the proper honorific while taking your wallet. The media's playing us like a fiddle, and we're out here thinking we're the orchestra. Every time we get close to talking about wealth inequality, suddenly there's breaking news about some celebrity drama or a viral video of a cat playing piano. And just like that, poof. The conversation about why we're all one medical bill away from bankruptcy disappears faster than my paycheck on rent day. Have you noticed how every major news network is owned by like 5 billionaires? That's not suspicious at all, right? It's like having your performance review written by your ex's new partner. Sure, it might be fair and balanced, but I wouldn't bet my last ramen packet on it. And social media? Oh boy, we're all living in our own personal echo chambers getting served exactly what we want to hear. It's like ordering at a restaurant where the menu only shows food you already like. Sounds great until you realize you haven't tried anything new since 2012. The corporate influence is so sneaky too. They've got us fighting culture wars while they're winning the class war. It's like we're all arguing about whether the Titanic's deck chairs should be arranged in a circle or a square while the whole ship is sinking. And the best part? They're selling tickets to watch the argument. These echo chambers are something else. You've got people on one side screaming about cancel culture while others are yelling about cultural appropriation. And meanwhile, the guys in suits are cancelling our ability to ever own a home. But hey, at least we've got our social media tribes to comfort us, right? Nothing says solidarity like a hashtag that trends for exactly 6 hours before we move on to the next outrage. It's like we're all characters in a reality show we didn't sign up for, but the producers are making bank off our drama. And the worst part? We're not even getting paid for our performances. We're just giving away our outrage for free, while they're monetizing every angry tweet and heated comment section. So what would it actually take to see real change? Let me tell you, it's not going to happen through strongly worded tweets or changing your profile picture to whatever cause is trending this week. First off, let's talk about material conditions. You know how your parents keep saying, money doesn't buy happiness? Well, try being unhappy in a paid-off house with a full fridge. The thing is, people don't rise up because they read a really compelling Instagram infographic. They rise up when their kids are hungry and the rent's due and the boss just cut their hours again. And organization? Oh boy. We can't even organize a group dinner without 17 people bailing at the last minute because of their social battery. Meanwhile, we're expecting to organize a mass movement through Reddit threads and Discord servers. It's like trying to herd cats, except the cats all have different political podcasts they want you to listen to. Leadership is another fun one. Everyone wants to be part of a movement, but nobody wants to lead it. It's like that group project in college where everyone's waiting for someone else to take charge. Except this time, instead of a bad grade, we get continued economic oppression. Neat. Here's the thing about collective action. It actually requires, collecting together. But we're all out here doing our own individual protest things. One person's boycotting Amazon while ordering from Walmart. Another's boycotting Walmart while ordering from Amazon. It's like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon while your neighbor's filling it with a garden hose. And unions? Don't even get me started. We've got people who won't join unions because they're afraid of losing their jobs, while simultaneously complaining about how their jobs are killing them. It's like refusing to wear a life jacket because you're worried about getting wet. The voting situation is just chef's kiss. Perfect. We're out here complaining about billionaires running the country while half of us can't be bothered to vote in local elections. The ones that actually affect your daily life. But hey, at least we all have very strong opinions about national politics on Twitter. Political engagement these days is like a dating app. Everyone's swiping, but nobody's actually trying to make a real connection. We'll share political memes all day long, but ask someone to attend a city council meeting. Suddenly everyone's got a mysterious appointment they can't reschedule. Let's talk about the future, and honestly, it's looking about as stable as my Wi-Fi connection during a Zoom meeting. First up, we've got AI and automation coming at us like that friend who says they'll be there in 5 minutes, but they're actually still in bed. Everyone's freaking out about AI taking our jobs, but here's the thing. It's not just going to be the entry-level positions anymore. We're talking lawyers, doctors, even creative jobs. Soon, we'll have AI writing comedy scripts about AI taking our jobs. Wait a minute. Nervous laughter. The inequality trend is going up faster than my blood pressure during a customer service call. You know those graphs showing the wealth gap? They look like a hockey stick. Except the rich keep getting better at hockey while the rest of us can't even afford to watch the game. And speaking of breaking points, you know what's funny? Every generation thinks they're going to be the one to fix everything. The millennials were supposed to kill all these industries, remember? Well, congratulations. We killed napkins and fabric softener. Really showed them, didn't we? Meanwhile, the cost of housing is doing its best SpaceX impression, just going up, up and away. Gen Z, bless their hearts, they're out here making TikToks about eating the rich while building their own side hustles. It's like watching someone plan a revolution between DoorDash deliveries. Hold on, comrade. Let me finish this quick Instagram reel about late-stage capitalism. The possible paths forward? Well, we've got a few options. Option 1, we could all collectively decide to actually do something about it. But that would require getting off social media, and let's be real, that's not happening. Option 2. Wait for things to get so bad that we have no choice but to act. Kind of like waiting until the night before the assignment is due, but for society. Or there's option 3. The robots take over and decide to implement universal basic income because they feel bad for us. At this point, I'm not even sure that's the worst option. At least the robots won't try to convince us that unpaid overtime is a growth opportunity. You know what's wild? We might be the first generation in history whose revolution will need to include a good Wi-Fi connection. Can you imagine? Sorry, we had to postpone the uprising and the internet was down. Our grandparents fought for workers' rights, and we're fighting for the right to work from home in our pajamas with decent broadband speeds. So here we are, wrapping up this deep dive into Reddit's revolutionary fantasies, and what have we learned? Well, for starters, we're all angry enough to post about it, but not quite angry enough to miss a Starbucks run. It's like we're living in this weird limbo where we're simultaneously ready to eat the rich and also following their lifestyle brands on Instagram. Let's do a quick reality check. We're not going to wake up tomorrow to find the revolution has started because someone posted a particularly spicy meme. Change happens when people actually get together in the real world. You know, that scary place beyond our screens where you have to wear real pants and everything. What might actually push us over the edge? Maybe it'll be when Netflix raises their prices one too many times. Or when AI takes over all our jobs and the only human employment left is being a social media influencer. Though knowing us, we'll probably just make TikToks about it while filling out applications to become professional robot whisperers. Here's the thing about individual versus collective responsibility. We all want to be part of the solution, but nobody wants to be the first one to actually do something. It's like when everyone in the group chat says, we should totally hang out, but nobody ever suggests a date. Except instead of missing out on brunch, we're missing out on meaningful social change. Community organizing is super important, but have you tried organizing anything lately? Getting 3 people to agree on a restaurant is harder than solving world hunger. Now imagine trying to get your whole neighborhood to agree on anything more complicated than that one dog needs to stop barking at 3 a.m. Looking ahead, I've got some good news and bad news. The bad news is that the system isn't going to fix itself while we're all busy arguing about whether hot dogs are sandwiches. The good news is that we're all in this together, even if together means collectively procrastinating on actually doing anything about it. But hey, maybe that's the first step. Admitting that posting "Eat the Rich" while ordering from Amazon Prime isn't actually praxis. Maybe real change starts with actually talking to our neighbors instead of just stalking their Instagram stories. Maybe revolution doesn't start with a bang, but with a bunch of people in a community center trying to figure out how to make their neighborhood better while sharing slightly stale cookies. And who knows, maybe by the time this episode goes live, we'll all have figured it out. But more likely, we'll still be here, doom scrolling through social media, waiting for someone else to start the revolution while we finish just one more episode of whatever show we're binging. This has been rCast, where we turn Reddit drama into comedy trauma. Remember, folks, if you're going to eat the rich, at least check their Yelp reviews first. Stay classy, stay angry, and maybe consider attending your local town hall meeting right after you finish reading the comments section.